Just look at this beautiful country. Many people are attracted to it because of its welfare system, low crime rate, high salaries, free medicine and free education, and many other things. Hey, my name is Alina. I have been living in Denmark for 7 years. I have been studying and working here, and I think I can give you an honest opinion about all the pros and cons about living in this beautiful country. At the end of the video, I will tell you what type of person would love to live in Denmark. So also remember to watch this video to the end, give it like and consider to subscribe. There is a list of things that makes Denmark very attractive country for immigration. I will go through each of them and define if it's really as good as it seems. A plus means that it's true, minus that it's false, and plus and minus means that it depends on the person's situation. The first statement on my list is high salaries. Most of the people that when they hear about Denmark, they think that it's kind of a golden mine, and it's kind of true because salaries in Denmark are much higher than in other European countries. If we compare a minimum hourly wage for Denmark, which is $18, Norway $22, Germany almost $9.50, and Canada $15. We can see that Denmark is almost on the same level with Norway, which is one of the richest countries in the world. Italy, for example, doesn't even have a minimum hourly wage, so the salaries in this country can vary really a lot. If we compare a salary of a nurse in Germany, which is approximately $3,275, and the salary of the Danish nurse, which is $4,826, then yeah, there is a pretty big difference in salaries. But then, if you think about that this is a salary before tax, and in Denmark we have pretty high taxes, also the prices for the groceries, electricity and other utilities are also pretty high. You have to pay a lot of money compared to other countries when you go out to eat, because you have to pay the salary for the waitress. So on the level with high salaries, we also have a lot of expenses in Denmark. And if you are interested in how much a person can spend living in Denmark for a month, then you can check out this video, or this video, somewhere here. After so many years living in this country, I came up with the conclusion that if you work remotely or your salary doesn't depend on the country where you live, for example, if you are a programmer or you work remotely, or if you are, for example, a graphic designer, then it's probably better to live in a cheaper country and get the same amount of money as a salary than living in Denmark and have so many expenses. So I will give the first statement plus and minus because it really depends on the work field. Another thing that makes Denmark really attractive country for immigration is a free healthcare. And when I say free, it means that it's paid by with the taxes that we pay every month. So when you have to go to a surgery, you don't have to pay for that, but you will have to pay for the medication. And I know that if a person has some chronic disease and spends every month a lot of money on medication, then this person can get some reduction from the state. But there is also a downside of having a free healthcare in the country, because it results in a really long waiting time to get appointment at your doctor. Sometimes you can wait, for example, like a month or 3 months to get an appointment. It of course depends on the commune where you live, like district where you live, and how many doctors are available there. But yeah, sometimes people have to wait like really a long time. However, there is a rule that if a person has some severe disease and needs operation now, then the person shouldn't wait longer than 1 month. And if there is no place or no time in the public hospital, then this person gets transferred to the private hospital for free. And I can tell you that after 24 years living in Ukraine and comparing Ukrainian healthcare and Danish healthcare, then the latter one is on the much higher level. So I will give it a plus. Next statement on my list is free education. In Denmark, people can go to public schools and universities for free. Also in universities they can get a scholarship which is equal to 5,000 something Danish kronas. I don't know exactly how much is it in dollars, I will write it down. The interesting fact about Danish education is that European Union citizens can also study for free in Denmark and get the same scholarship. And I think that's a good opportunity, and that's a really good thing, because I have friends from the UK and the US, and they are like 35 years old and they still pay their student loans, which is ridiculous in my opinion. That's so much money you have to pay for education. So I will give this statement a big plus. Next thing on my list is free kindergartens. It is actually false, because they are not free. Some part of the fee is covered by government, and if to be precise, it's called kommuna, and the rest of the fee you pay it from your own pocket. Next statement on my list is that people can get financial support from the government when they get fired or when they quit their job. It is actually true, but there are some conditions that apply to it, and I think that getting help from the government or some private organization is a great idea when a person lost a job. So it reduces the stress of finding a new job which doesn't really fit the needs. But in Denmark you can get support from the state if you have Danish passport. Otherwise you have to pay some monthly fee to the private companies that after you get fired or you quit your job, you can get your basically money back month by month until you find your new job. I am a member of one of these organizations. It's called A-Kasse, and I am paying every month around 520 kronas, which is equal to almost $80. And I have to pay this amount of money at least a year before I have the right to get some financial support if I lose my job or I quit my job. I personally know some people who moved to Denmark only because of its welfare system and because of the financial support. So they moved to Denmark to study, to get scholarship, and while they are in the school they sign up to this organization that which is called A-Kasse, which will help you if you can't find a job after school. And for the students, they don't have to pay monthly fee, so it's for free. When these people they are ready with the education, they look for a job, and you probably know that it's pretty hard for a fresh graduate to find a job right after university, so they can stay on this financial support for a year or maybe a longer time until they find a job, which on the one hand it's really helpful and it's a brilliant idea, but on the other hand there are so many people that take advantage of the system and they on purpose apply to some positions that don't correspond to their skills, which makes it impossible to get an offer for a job. And they can be on this support for many months. There is of course limit to it. So I will give this statement on my list plus and minus, because it's not everyone who gets help, financial help when they lose their job. So it depends on the situation. Next statement on the list is that there is no racism in Denmark. I definitely agree that there is no racism in Denmark to the level that it is in Russia, for example. Long story short, I have a friend who had to run from Russia. She is Russian, but she got married with a guy from one of the African countries. And when she decided to marry him, her parents said that they don't have a daughter anymore if she really will marry him. So they never spoken even when this girl got kids. And the life for them in Moscow was pretty impossible, because the guy was getting beaten all the time. He couldn't walk alone on the street in the night because locals were basically beating him for his skin color. He had problems finding a job because of his skin color. And one day when he was coming back from some kind of work that he got, he came home in bruises and scars, and that's when they decided that they wanna run. So they left their apartment, their car, and without documents they ran to Denmark, and now they have a pretty good life here. And when I was asking her like, what do you think about Denmark, about racism and how your husband feels here? She said that compared to Russia, it's like living in heaven. He doesn't feel that there is racism at all. But in Denmark, you can still hear some racist jokes. Of course, Danes won't say it directly to your face because they're quite polite. But racism still exists here, but not to the level that in other countries. A funny fact that probably people with a different religion and different skin color, it's easier to live in Denmark than, for example, for me, because I'm coming from Eastern Europe, and Danes have a lot of prejudice against people from Eastern European countries. For example, if you come from, you come from Romania, then you are coming to Denmark to steal their bikes. And if you are coming from one of the Baltic countries, then you are definitely working in a cleaning service. There was also one situation when one of the Danish women started writing some pretty weird comments on one of my videos, trying to force me to go back to my country because Denmark is for Danes, as she said. I will give this statement a minus because it's not completely true. There is still racism in Denmark, but not to the extent that it's in the other countries. Next statement on my list is that Danes are very open people and very easy to make friends with. This is completely not true, because especially when you don't speak Danish, perfect Danish, then it's very hard to make friends with Danes, because they are, as I mentioned before, they are very nice and polite when they have to interact with foreigners, for example at work, but they usually stick to their close circle, which is formed during the kindergarten times and school times, and they don't really like to get more people from outside close to their families. They spend a lot of time with families actually. So here is a minus. Next statement is that Denmark is really focused on work-life balance. And it's actually true, because almost all Danish companies that I have had experience with, and from my friends, I heard that no one can force you to work overtime. So Danes, they really try to balance their work with their private life, which I totally love about Denmark. I also don't know that many people that would like to work overtime. So when you come to the office and you stay until 4, then after 4 there is no one sitting at workplace, because everyone is rushing back to the family, spend time with the family, watch TV, cook food, have some quality time. So I will give it a big plus, because it's very easy in Denmark to have work-life balance. The last statement on my list is that you don't have to speak Danish in order to have a happy life in Denmark. This is actually true to some extent, because if you live in Copenhagen area, where almost all Danes speak perfect English and they understand you, then if you also work in the company where they have English as a company language, and it's not required to know Danish, then it's very easy to live here. Otherwise, if you go a bit outside of the big Copenhagen area, then it's where it starts getting a bit complicated, because you go to a doctor, your doctor refuses to speak English to you because they can't do it by law. And maybe someone in the shop doesn't speak English and you have to switch to Danish somehow. Also, there is a thing that when I was studying in Denmark, it was 5 years ago, there was really a lot of programs taught in English. It was very easy for foreigners from European Union to come here and study. But I think it's 2 years ago the government changed the rules and they reduced these programs to the extent that you have to basically learn Danish before you attend some universities in Denmark, which makes it much harder for young people to come here. But I know a lot of people that have been living in Denmark for maybe 10 years and they speak Danish on the same level as they were speaking it when they have been here for 1 year. And I am not one of them, because I recently finished my language school and I can speak Danish and write Danish, so I am very proud of myself. But sometimes it makes me feel like I have to speak perfect Danish when I speak to Danes, because as soon as I start talking and I have a bit of an accent, and maybe some words are not banded completely correct. So the Danes, they start saying like Vesidu, what are you saying? Like, I don't understand you. And they switch instantly to English, which makes it impossible to practice Danish, which is one of the challenges that I have to overcome here. So, as I already mentioned, that different people have very different experience living in Denmark. There are people who are absolutely in love with this country and they love everything about it. There are people who have been living here for, let's say, a year, and they go back to their home country or another country because Denmark just doesn't fit their needs. There are also people, a lot of them, that complain all the time that everything is wrong about Denmark and they hate the country, but they still live here. So, I think I am more like the first type of the people. I like Denmark, but my personal problem with this country is that the weather is so bad and so depressing here. Even during the summer, there can be a summer when there is like 10 days without rain. And during the winter times, the winter is really grey. It's like a mix of the autumn, winter and spring sometimes, so you don't really know what to expect from the weather. So I get very, let's say, sad during the winter times, so I try to compensate it by traveling to warmer countries during winter and spend summer in Denmark. But that's something that I can't control. And I don't have anything to complain that much about this country. I still live here, I like it. I don't know what will happen in the future, but for now I live in Denmark. And I think that this country will fit perfectly this type of people that really focus on family, on work-life balance, then they think that all people should be equal regarding what kind of job they do, so everyone has to have the same possibilities and the same life standards. So if you are young, full of ambitions, person focused on building a career and having fun, that I think that Denmark will be a pretty boring country to live for you. It's maybe better to move to a Dubai, London or LA or Singapore, but not Denmark, not even Copenhagen. Yes, so that was it for today. Thank you very much for watching me, and I will see you in the next one.